out in the hallway and was troubled enough that I felt this was worthy of some attention. I'm still new to this job, and I'm still kind of constantly surprised by what I hear sometimes come from this well. And I agree with the previous speaker. This is an ideological issue. But I am a little bit dumbfounded that I've heard this morning the defense of deficit spending, soaring debt, and career politicians. Danger, danger is what was said. The danger is not a balanced budget. The danger is $22 trillion in national debt. That's the danger. And that's been brought to us by career politicians who are supported in primaries and their elections 9-1 by their challengers. Somebody previously spoke about the challenge of money in the system. That's exactly right. The Supreme Court has ruled, though, that that's the right to free speech. So that's not going away. The ideological difference, quite frankly, colleagues, is the ideological worldview between career politicians and 320 million Americans. 82% of Americans support term limits. As the sponsor of the bill said, this is not a partisan issue. The system is broken. The danger is the system, and the system needs to be disrupted, and Washington, D.C. will never disrupt itself. Danger is exactly right. This country is in danger, and it is in danger by the people that have gone to D.C. to do a job, have turned away from every political promise they ever made because they fell in love with the power. They will never give up the power. This republic was founded upon the sovereignty of the states, and it is up to the states to take back their sovereignty and do what the very founders envisioned. I've never spoken to a founder of this country, but I can imagine if we told the founders that we would be $22 trillion in debt and we would still be arguing over whether or not we have a balanced budget, I believe they would think we have lost our collective minds. And when it comes to government spending in this country, we have absolutely lost our collective minds. Now, we've seen an example of this right here in our own very chamber. An example, a counter argument, if you will, in real life. Because I can give an intellectual consideration to this idea of institutional knowledge. If only we send our politicians to Congress for decades and decades and decades, only then will they be able to do this job effectively. Because despite the talent in this country and despite the intellectual rigor by many of our fellow citizens, we are the only people smart enough after decades of time here in Washington, D.C. to do this job effectively. And it would empower the bureaucrats if we were to term limit either ourselves or those in D.C. I can understand the intellectual thought behind that, and I could give that some vigor. However, we saw tragically last year a fourth-year senator have to step in and do the toughest job under this building, under the roof of this building. And he stepped in and he did it with honor and dignity and intellectual honesty and excellence with hardly any notice. So if we have somebody in their second term able to carry the hardest job under this building with no notice, I believe that obliterates the argument that only institutional knowledge can save this country. So I will echo the sentiment of the previous speaker, but I come to a different conclusion. The danger bells have been warning, and absolutely, this is a Republican and Democrat problem. President Obama was guilty and President Trump was guilty. The deficit spending is out of control. Washington, D.C. has proven to us that they will not solve the problem. The founders knew that that was a possibility, and the founders gave us this mechanism, and it's time we utilize it. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Senator has yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair sees none. Author waives closing debate.